Welcome at MX5 Info. As you can see, I managed to get the Mazda Protege cruise control buttons to work on my Nardi steering wheel in combination with the Mazda 6 cruise control system. After that, I also modified a second set and used that on the original Mazda steering wheel that I have from my other NB. I made this video to guide you through all the steps that are required to get to this result. During my search for parts, I found and purchased a number of Mazda Protege steering wheels at JP Parts International in Canada. Joseph was very helpful in finding the best shipping options for me, and I'm happy that everything worked out as planned. Let us assume that you found a Mazda Protege steering wheel with the 3-spoke design and the cruise control switches. Then basically from a form factor perspective, this is perfectly fine for the NB Miata or MX5. It's the same diameter steering wheel, and also the airbag is compatible, basically identical to what you have. So the only thing stopping you from swapping it into your car immediately is that the resistor values behind these switches is not the same as what the Mazda 6 system expects, or for that matter what the original cruise control system expects. It's different. So in order to proceed, we need to disassemble the steering wheel and then have a closer look at these switches and how we can modify them for the Mazda 6 system. For the disassembly of the steering wheel, we will start with the connector. There's one wire for the horn in here. We need to get that wire out of the connector because otherwise we cannot take out this bracket that is held in place with 3 Torx T40 bolts. So in order to get the wire out of the connector, we need to use, for example, a small screwdriver, precision screwdriver, then pry up the orange part of the connector because that's a security part. It will prevent the terminals and the wire from coming out of the connector unintentionally. Then we need to place this small screwdriver underneath the terminal, push down on the small tab, and then we can release the wire from the connector. It looks simple, you might have to practice a bit. So now I can remove the 3 bolts. And then we can take out this piece. You can see there's springs at the bottom. That's the spring tension you feel when you press the horn. So as you can see now, we have a bracket that's holding down the switches on the frame of the steering wheel. So with a screwdriver we can remove these 2 screws. They are M5, and basically every non-Nardi steering wheel for the NB will have the same frame inside this steering wheel. So once these 2 screws are removed, we can take out the bracket, including the wiring from the steering wheel. Yeah? Then the next part is the cover on the back of the steering wheel. Again, 3 screws. And that will also immediately show you a difference between the regular steering wheel and the Mazda Protege steering wheel, because the cover in this case has an opening in it which allows us to put the bracket, the wiring inside through this hole. So this hole here is what will not be present in your standard steering wheel. So if you can get that cover together with your purchase, that's perfect. You won't be able to benefit from it if you have a Nardi steering wheel, because this cover will not fit on the frame of the Nardi steering wheel. I will show that later on. Then we can proceed with the disassembly of these switches. The bracket is held in place with 3 screws here on the side. We can take those out. One. Then you can see that this cover can be taken off. Also, this main button can be taken off. It might be held in place a bit with some clips, but yep, it will come off. And then you can immediately see all of the electronics that are inside. So in order to get those out, you can best start with these tabs that hold in the very small PCB with the switch on it. So I might be able to push those back, and then I can lift the PCB out. It's always tough on camera, so I'll do that off camera so I can show you in a moment. So I've just lifted the small PCB a little bit. Then probably it's best to give these wires a bit more wiggle room, and then you can see that the small PCB can be lifted out of this hole. It still has a switch on it, of course. So now this part is out. Then we need to concentrate on the bigger PCB, because we need to remove that in order to replace some of the resistor values. So let's see. Okay, those are out. And then the trick is to pull this out a bit to the side. Make sure you give the wires a bit of room. And then it's best to remove this silicone rubbery part, and then you can push the PCB through that opening. Yeah, so this is the part that we are interested in. We need to replace the original resistors on this one. You could disassemble this part further if you want, but it's not necessary. You could do it for cleaning purposes. The switch on the small PCB is a latching switch, which means that it will remain in the on or off position after you press it. The Mazda 6 system, however, expects a momentary switch that will always return to the open position. In order to turn this switch into a momentary switch, you need to open it and then remove the 2 small parts that are in the red ellipse on this picture. On the long PCB there are 3 resistors, but they all have incompatible values for the Mazda 6 system, so they all have to be removed in order to prepare for the next step. In the previous video I explained what resistor values are needed and how they should be placed. As long as the values are within the specified range, the switches will work. An MX5 friend, also called Jeroen, helped me to modify a set so I could use it as a proof of concept. We used the resistors that he had available at the time. These resistors can handle more power than we needed, and as a result the wires are a bit thicker. Therefore we had to improvise a bit. We had to drill an extra hole, cut a line and connect it 2 holes to make the system work. One of the subscribers in France, called Joe, also had modified his Mazda Protege switches and had used lighter resistors, which in this case is the better option. The thinner wires of those resistors are small enough to fit two of them through the same hole, which is what we need in this case. The calculated resistor value of 1520 ohms is not a common value, therefore I used the 1500 ohm resistor. This results in a 2180 ohm resistance value when you press the resume switch. This is perfectly fine and within range, so no problem. The last modification that is needed to convert the switches is to go back from 3 to 2 wires. The Mazda 6 system expects 2 wires for all these switches. Mazda already has joined the blue wire with the white and black wire, and we now have to do the same for the 2 remaining wires. The red wire and the white wire need to be joined. You can solder or crimp the connection and then protect it with some shrink tubing. In case you have a Nardi steering wheel on your NB, there is some additional work to do. Sometimes you can see a Nardi logo on the airbag or on the lower spoke. But also all wooden NB steering wheels are from Nardi. And the same is true for the multicolor steering wheels, like on the 10th anniversary, the Trilogy, the Shinsen and Phoenix. Those are all Nardi steering wheels. The difference between the standard steering wheel and the Nardi steering wheel is mainly behind the airbag. So the end cover is mounted with 4 screws instead of 3, and also the bracket inside the steering wheel is held down by 4 springs and 4 T30 Torx bolts. These pictures show how different the frames of these steering wheels are, and this also affects the way in which we can connect the bracket. What I've done is the following. I used one of the existing holes as an anchor point and made M5 thread in it. Then I created a small metal strip with some strategically placed holes and bolted it down with one of the original M5 screws. I then cut a corner out of the original bracket to make it fit within the frame, but probably you can do a better job by removing less material than what I did. I then installed that bracket onto the metal strip with the second original M5 screw. Then, to prevent the bracket from rotating, I installed an M6 bolt and nut to hold down the bracket on that metal strip. And this is the end result. Because the back cover of the Nardi steering wheels is different to that of the original Mazda Protege steering wheel, you have to create a hole for the bracket and switches. In the description of this video you will find a link to a PDF file. That PDF file contains a template that you can use to create the hole in the right location and size. Assembly of the steering wheel and the switches is in the reverse order of the disassembly process. An update on how to control the LEDs behind the hold or cruise lens in the instrument cluster will follow soon. If you have any questions, please let me know via the comment section below. All your feedback is welcome. Did you enjoy the video? Then please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching MX5 Info, and I hope to see you again soon revisiting this channel.